So get this. Imagine a world where like curing diseases is as simple as running a program, or where everyone has like personalized education. You just click a button, it's there.
Yeah.
That's the kind of potential we're talking about with AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Right.
And so today we're doing a deep dive into this really fascinating article
Yeah.
that really digs into all of that.
It does.
The future of AGI and how it could like completely change society as we know it.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a future that's like a lot closer than we think.
Really?
Yeah, we're already seeing these little building blocks of AGI emerging today. And this article, it highlights some key observations about how it's all developing, and they're pretty eye-opening.
So let's unpack some of these observations.
Okay.
The first one that I thought was super interesting is this idea that the intelligence of AI scales with resources. So basically, like the more we invest, the smarter it gets.
Yeah.
Is it really that straightforward, though?
Yeah. Well, it's not quite as simple as just like throwing money at the problem.
Right.
It's more about understanding like how AI learns
Okay.
and how we can make that learning process better. There's this concept in AI called scaling laws.
Okay.
And what that basically means is that when we increase the resources we're using to train AI,
Right.
so things like computing power and data,
Right.
we see this like predictable improvement in its intelligence.
So it's kind of like if you're building a rocket,
Mm-hmm.
the bigger the engine, the more powerful it is, the further and faster it can go.
Exactly. And what's even more exciting is that the cost of actually like developing and using AI, it's going down rapidly.
Really?
Yeah, we're seeing something like a 10 times cost reduction every 12 months.
Wow.
That's faster than Moore's law.
Wow, that is incredible.
Right.
So to put that in perspective for everybody listening, like using a powerful language model like GPT-4 just like a year ago, that costs a fortune to use.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in mid-2024, it's 150 times cheaper.
It's
Imagine what that means for like making this technology available to everybody.
right.
It could be for like individuals and small businesses,
Mm-hmm.
not just these huge companies.
Exactly. And that leads us to the third observation.
Okay.
And this one is maybe the most interesting.
Okay.
The value of AI, it's not just growing, it's growing super exponentially.
Okay, hold on. You're using some big words there.
know.
Super exponentially. What does that even mean?
So think of it this way, like a slightly smarter AI can actually design an even smarter AI.
Whoa.
It's like this self-reinforcing cycle that leads to this like crazy rate of progress.
Okay.
Like imagine a snowball rolling down a hill and it's just getting bigger and faster as it goes.
Okay.
That's basically super exponential growth. And what that means
Okay.
is we can expect to see tons more investment and innovation in AI development.
So we've got AI getting smarter, it's getting cheaper, and it's becoming more valuable like every minute.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're like right on the edge of this huge technological revolution. But like, what does this actually mean for us, everyday people? The article talks about this idea of AI agents,
Yes.
these like virtual coworkers.
Yeah.
That could completely change how we work and live.
That's right. Imagine you have this whole team of AI software engineers working right alongside you, helping you with your code, helping you debug stuff,
Well,
and even coming up with totally new solutions.
this is like having this team of superpowered interns
Yeah.
that can just like take care of all the boring stuff
Right.
so we can focus on the big picture.
Exactly. These AI agents, they're really good at specific tasks.
Oh.
Like they can look at huge amounts of data,
Right.
they can find patterns, and they can even like create content.
Wow.
But they do have some limitations. They still need us humans to like supervise them
Right.
and guide them, especially when it comes to like making big decisions or
Yeah.
doing things that require emotional intelligence.
So they're not going to like replace us completely, but they could definitely change what work looks like.
Totally. And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because if we can automate all this work,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean for our economy, our
Yeah.
society, our
Yeah.
future?
Big questions.
Yeah,
That's definitely something we'll have to keep digging into as we go through this article.
definitely. The world won't change overnight,
True.
but the long-term impact of all this AI stuff is going to be huge.
Yeah,
And it's something we need to start thinking about now.
for sure. It's like we're standing on the edge of something completely new,
Yeah.
like a new frontier. With AI changing so fast, it's hard to even imagine what things will look like in a few years,
Right.
let alone like decades from now.
Yeah.
This article talks about some pretty incredible possibilities like faster scientific progress,
Mm-hmm.
lower costs for pretty much everything,
Yeah.
and just like an overall increase in what humans can achieve.
It really is mind-boggling when you think about the potential. Like, imagine using AI to come up with brand new renewable energy sources,
Yeah.
or creating personalized medical treatments for people,
Right.
or even designing sustainable cities.
It's like we could actually solve some of the biggest problems in the world,
Yeah.
like climate change and poverty.
Yeah.
But the article also makes it clear that we need to be ready for the challenges that come with having this kind of power.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole discussion about public policy and ethics becomes so important.
Right.
We need to make sure that everyone benefits from AGI,
Yeah.
and that we avoid potential risks like, authoritarian control or things we just didn't see coming.
One thing I keep thinking about is this idea of a compute budget for everyone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the article mentions it briefly. It's basically like giving everyone access to a certain amount of AI power.
Right.
Almost like a universal basic income, but for intelligence.
It's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
Imagine a future where everyone, no matter who they are or how much money they have,
Right.
has access to these incredible intellectual resources.
It's like democratizing genius.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. But of course, there are challenges. Like,
Right.
how do we make sure people use these resources responsibly?
Yeah.
And how do we stop people with more resources from just getting more compute power?
Right, because that could just make the gap between people even bigger.
Exactly.
Those are some tough questions.
IR.
But I think we need to be having these conversations now
Yeah.
before this technology gets so powerful that we can't control it anymore.
It's like we're building a spaceship while we're already in flight.
That's a good analogy.
We need to be proactive about shaping the future,
Mm.
not just reacting to it.
Right.
And that means having open and honest conversations about the good and the bad.
One of the risks that keeps coming up is the potential for AI to be used for surveillance and control, especially by governments that aren't so democratic.
It's a valid concern. We've already seen how technology can be used to take away privacy and stop people from speaking out.
Yeah.
And as AI gets more sophisticated, those risks are just going to get bigger.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about our values as a society.
Exactly. We need to decide what kind of world we want to live in and then actually work towards creating it.
It all comes back to this idea of human agency.
Yeah,
Even in a world with super intelligent AI, our choices still matter.
they do. We have the power to shape the future, to make sure it turns out well.
But what can the average person actually do? Sometimes it feels like these issues are so big and complicated
Great.
that it's hard to know where to even start.
I get that. It can feel overwhelming. But even small things can make a difference. Just staying informed about these issues is a great first step.
So reading articles, listening to podcasts like this one,
Exactly.
having conversations with people.
The more you understand about AGI and what it means for the world,
Yeah.
the better prepared you'll be to actually help shape the future.
So it's all about education and awareness.
Yeah.
But what about actually doing something? What can people do to make a real difference?
There are a lot of ways to get involved. You can support organizations that are working to make sure AGI is developed responsibly.
Like the groups that are pushing for ethical guidelines and more transparency in AI research.
Exactly. You can also talk to your elected officials.
Right.
Tell them what you're worried about.
Yeah.
And advocate for policies that you believe in.
So it's about making our voices heard.
Yeah, both individually and collectively.
And don't forget about the power of just talking to people.
That's right. Talk to your friends, your family, your coworkers, even strangers.
Anyone who will listen.
Exactly. The more we talk about AGI and what it means for us, the more likely we are to make smart decisions about the future.
It's about getting everyone involved in the conversation.
Yeah, and it's about being proactive. We can't just sit around and wait for the future to happen.
Right.
We need to actively shape it. Remember, this isn't science fiction.
This is happening now.
And it's moving fast.
It is. So what's the biggest thing you want listeners to take away from this?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest takeaway is that we're not just watching all this happen.
Yeah. Right.
We actually have a say in what happens.
Yeah.
We have a voice and a responsibility to make sure AGI benefits everybody.
I totally agree. And that brings us back to the main point of this whole deep dive, understanding what AGI could do and how we can use its power for good.
Yeah.
The article talks about some amazing possibilities, like you said, speeding up scientific discoveries,
Right.
maybe even getting rid of poverty completely.
Yeah.
But it also brings up those concerns about making sure everyone benefits.
Right. Like, will everyone really benefit from this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where ideas like those compute budgets come in.
Right.
Making sure everyone has at least some access to that AI power.
It's kind of like imagining a world where everybody has their own personal AI assistant.
Yeah.
This super intelligent, like, sidekick to help them with everything.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine students with AI tutors that like adapt to how they learn best.
That would be amazing.
Or entrepreneurs with AI partners to help them start businesses.
Yeah.
Or researchers with AI collaborators to help them make those big breakthroughs.
But like we talked about before, it's not enough to just make the technology available.
Yeah.
We have to actually think about the systems and rules that make sure everyone can access it.
And make sure it's not just controlled by a few people.
Right. So we have to think about things like regulation and education and social safety nets. We have to be ready for the changes that are coming to the job market.
Exactly.
And find ways to help people adapt and succeed in this new world.
It's a big challenge, but it's so important.
It is. If we want to create a future where AGI benefits everybody.
Everyone, not just the select few.
So where do we go from here? What can people listening do to be part of this conversation and help make sure we have a positive future with AGI?
Well, first of all, stay informed.
Okay.
Read articles, listen to podcasts like this one. Right.
Talk to people about these issues.
Yeah.
The more you know about AGI and what it means,
the better prepared you'll be to make decisions and help shape the future.
And don't be afraid to ask questions and really think critically about the information you're getting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's also important to support those organizations that are working to do this the right way.
Okay.
There are groups out there making sure AGI is developed responsibly, pushing for ethical guidelines,
Right.
and trying to make AI research more transparent.
And we should definitely be talking to our elected officials.
Yes, let them know what you think.
Yeah.
And push for policies that promote responsible development and make sure everyone benefits.
And let's not forget, just talking to people about this.
Right. Talk to your friends, your family, your coworkers, anyone who will listen.
Yeah. Spread the word.
The more we talk about AGI and what it all means, the better decisions we'll make about the kind of future we want.
It's about making this a public conversation and making sure everyone has a say.
Absolutely. And remember, this isn't something way off in the future.
Right.
This is happening right now.
It is. The decisions we make today are going to have a big impact on tomorrow.
They really will.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive on AGI and the future of humanity. We covered a lot today.
we did.
We talked about how fast AI is advancing,
Yeah.
the potential benefits and challenges, and how important it is for all of us to be a part of shaping this future.
It's been a great discussion.
It has. I hope everyone listening has a better understanding now of what AGI could mean
Me too.
and why it's so important to be part of this conversation.
Absolutely.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one last thought.
Okay.
Imagine you could access the intelligence of every single person on Earth in 2025.
Wow.
What would you do with that power?
That's a good one.
What problems would you solve?
Yeah.
What kind of future would you create?
It's definitely something to think about.
It is. Because even though AGI might never be exactly like human intelligence, it does show us what's possible when we combine human ingenuity with the power of AI.
It really does.
So as you go about your day, keep that question in mind.
Yeah.
Let it make you curious, spark your imagination, and inspire you to be a part of shaping the future AGI.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shaping the future.